Welcome, everybody, and happy Diwali. Today, we have another Prabhupada Memoirs on this most auspicious day. And everybody around the world, if you're having some festivities at home, then, praying that it'll be the best one so far. Appreciate that today's times we are in a bit of a different situation, but hence the reason why we do this, getting association online. And what better way than to actually speak to Srila Prabhupada's direct disciples about Srila Prabhupada and to get some inspiration for the new year ahead in our devotional spiritual services. So I'm so honored that today we have Yadubara Prabhu, who has come on and he's going to be, sharing his experiences. And boy, do we have something to share. It's going to be phenomenal. So please do stick around. And Yadubara Prabhu, for those that may not know, you'll probably see next to him, behind him, a lovely poster of the Hare Krishna movie. He is the director. He is the person that has been spending time with Srila Prabhupada, being his creative genius, I would say, in terms of photography, through directing films, everything. He's had that association, and we're going to be going through some of that today. So it's such an honor. Yadubara Prabhu, how are you?
I'm good. It's an honor to be here. Jagannatha Kirtanananda Prabhu.
Thank you so much. I'm going to get straight into it because
okay.
It is so much, and I think an hour will not be enough. So we'll see how we go. But right. I wanted to start about, how did you meet Srila Prabhupada? How did, we're talking in the 70s. How did it start for you? Were you into spirituality or what was it? How did it start?
Yeah, I got an assignment to do an article for Asia magazine. That was back in the summer of 1970. And I had put my pictures in an agency in New York. And somehow that Indian-bodied man, editor of Asia magazine, saw the pictures, called me up, and said, I'm fascinated by the Hare Krishnas. Can you do a story on them? So Vishak and I went to the temple in New York. That was 61 2nd Avenue, the second temple. And this is the first, actually, this is the arti that I was, first room I went into, actually, in the temple. They took me right in and were happy to let me do the article.
Wow.
And I came in front of the deities, and I don't know where this came from, of course. We can think about that. But I had this realization that this is my eternal occupation, to worship the Lord. I think all of us have had some kind of, experience like that in spiritual life that really changes our perspective. Well, this really, as I say, I wasn't expecting this. This realization happened. So that's kept me in the movement. That's an anchor, you can say. Very first experience. And then we did the article that was published. Vishaka wrote the article, I did the pictures. And then I took that to Prabhupada. I had to do a master's thesis in photography. We were both in photography school at the time. I had to do a master's thesis. So I thought, let me go to India. I was fascinated by the devotees. I loved everything I saw and smelled and ate. And in December 70, I went to India to meet Prabhupada. And I met him in the town of Surat. This was the beginning of Prabhupada's World Sankirtan, that he was taking devotees all over India first. And then that was genius, because the reception of the devotees in India in those early days was just phenomenal. I mean, after hundreds of years of British rule, to see Western people, Western Vaishnavas, come to the shores of India was just incredible. And I was used to photographing, devotees in the streets of New York and the big cities for that article, and the reception here was like 180 degrees. It was incredible. This picture is a beautiful shot. Actually, it's taken from a single film frame. Many of these pictures you'll see today were taken from movies because we didn't. I was shooting black and white film, still photography at the time when I arrived. But there's many, there's thousands of still pictures from the movie frames that are wonderful pictures in themselves. So here we see, Caucasian Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Dinanath Prabhu, Black Body, Oriental Banu Swami.
So international.
Yeah, and this epitomizes. This is a visual representation of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prediction that races from all over the world will join together in Harinam.
In capturing these moments, it must have been a magical feeling at that time.
It was. I mean, the enthusiasm and the dedication of the devotees and their devotion to Prabhupada was incredible.
Wow. Prabhu, so for yourself, you just mentioned that really your background was photography, etc. You're into that, and that's a reason because you're coming from that professional angle, and you came to see the devotee. So you weren't actually a devotee either at the time. You're just interesting.
I was doing a job.
You're doing so you were hired you're doing this job, and then when did this transformation start to happen that you feel like this is something? You know what? I like this. And when did that start?
Well, it was very slow. I do things slowly, including making our films. It took 4 years to make the Hare Krishna film. But in any case, I was very attracted immediately, as I mentioned, and that just grew gradually. It took me about 10 months. By the way, Vishaka had the opposite reaction coming to the temple. She was brought up an atheist.
Yes, you mentioned.
So, and she has a whole book on her transformation from atheism to theism, and that's in her wonderful book, 5 years, 11 months, and a lifetime of unexpected love. And I highly recommend that book.
This book here, which I'm putting at the top, 5 years, 11 months. Yes, check that out.
Yeah.
No, so you're coming in. When was the first time that you actually saw Srila Prabhupada? And just for everybody's info, I want to show a picture of Prabhu as well. In his early days, black and white picture. Here we go. There you are, in the temple. Where is it?
A crow amongst swans.
It's how does it feel, Prabhu, when you look back? Because this was your early days, and seeing this, what does it bring back to you, especially seeing this picture here?
Oh, just the transformation. Prabhupada was a touchstone, and he was a magnet, and he brought us all together to do service together, to grow in Krishna consciousness together. It was just those early days in India were just amazing.
Wow!
But I'd like to mention that Vishaka came 2 months after I arrived in India, and she met Prabhupada at the temple at the time, Akash Ganga building. We had a beautiful apartment, and she met Prabhupada, presented her book. She had a book on macro photography, and Prabhupada looked through it a little bit. Anyway. There were some quite difficult mathematical calculations how to take close-up pictures. So Prabhupada said it's a little technical for him. But anyway, we wanted to do, after she came after 2 months, and I had finished my photographic exploration of the devotees in India. So we both wanted to do a photographic essay on an untouched Indian village, untouched by Western technology. So we didn't know where to go, so we asked Prabhupada, and he said, first he said, wherever you go, you'll get your camera stolen and they will cheat you. So
What did you think? You had all this
not so,
equipment. Like,
not so encouraging. So then he said, best you go to Vrindavan. So first we went to Nepal. There's a picture of us in Nepal.
yep. Let me just I'll just see if I can. I'm just going to bring the stream on, and then we'll just.
Okay.
Is it black and white? It's.
Yeah, it's black. Actually, I think it's before that. But
Okay.
let's go back a little bit with those few pictures.
So this
This is the Harinam in Surat.
This is
And
what you're talking about. Saw it the first time.
Yeah, the reception there was incredible. Probably the most incredible in India. Every day we would go on Harinam, and the newspaper would print the route every day.
Wow.
And the people would prepare that part of the city for the reception of the devotees. And there was, they'd stop us every few yards. There'd be arti ceremony, and they give us drinks and sandalwood and garlands. Anyway, it was incredible. This is in Prabhupada's room. This is Mangal Arti. Prabhupada's room was very small, and there were 25 devotees in there. I can say today this is the most intense Mangal Arti I've ever been to. And although I was brand new, it's just the intensity of this was incredible. Devotion.
Is that Mother Yamuna singing?
That is, yes.
Wow.
Prabhupada would often ask her to sing, lead the kirtan.
That's 25 people in this small room. You can see Srila Prabhupada. It looks like such an intense picture.
Yes, very intense.
And then, of course, this picture of Srila Prabhupada you took, and of course, chanting his Gayatri.
Yeah, this is taken in a small village outside Surat. In Surat, we'd have 3-4 engagements a day with full prasadam.
Wow.
That was a challenge in itself. Prabhupada asked us to finish everything on our plates. And they wouldn't stop serving. This is in Mumbai at the gateway of India. Here I am in the back.
There you are on the right-hand side. Am I right?
Yeah.
In your gear.
In the gear.
So when you saw Srila Prabhupada, you're walking with Srila Prabhupada at this time here. I'd just like to. What were your thoughts? What was coming to your mind? Because at this moment you mentioned you weren't a devotee per se. You were more doing a job. So, what was those things that you were seeing about him that just struck you?
I was just trying to kind of keep out of the way and not get in front, not cause a disturbance. And you see me in the background there. So sometimes I would come forward and just try to take the best pictures as possible.
Wow.
Without interfering too much.
It's really. And who are the other people with Srila Prabhupada at the moment here?
It's a little hard for me to see full up. Hold on. Let me get full
Just
screen
try.
here.
Yep, I'll try and make. Try and see if I can make a little bit bigger.
That's on Prabhupada's right. On our, the left-hand side is Rishi Kumar. He was the president of New York. Actually, he was the first person I met when I did that assignment. And he was very gracious, very wonderful devotee.
Wow.
And then he was the person who answered the door when I knocked on the place that they were staying in Surat. So I was really surprised. He was surprised to see me. I was surprised to see him. We both come from New York. Giridhar Swami is there.
Just next to Srila Prabhupada with the glasses.
Yeah. He was brahmachari then. I think that's Pusta Krishna. So a little hard to see on the right side.
And your assignment at this time, what was your brief in terms of, was it?
My idea was to do a photographic essay on the origins of Krishna consciousness. That was my thesis. I really didn't know what that meant. But I became so captivated by taking still pictures of the devotees. And I just did that. I just concentrated on Prabhupada and his disciples. And strangely enough, well, not strangely enough, this Krishna's plan, that we both stayed in India for 2.5 years, Vishaka and I. We didn't go back.
Wow,
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
And actually, just for everybody's sake, you know, this wasn't lap of luxury as well that they were staying in. And I want to just show something. Like you can see from Srila Prabhupada here, you know, showing Srila Prabhupada that, you know, the basics, that how he was traveling and what was happening, isn't it, Prabhu? It wasn't, this 2.5 years, it's not like you're in some hotels, really amazing. Please paint a picture of this so everyone
understands. This is Allahabad at the Kumbh Mela. Prabhupada stayed with us in his tent. We had a whole camp there. And Prabhupada could have stayed at the Gaudiya Math. He lived in Allahabad for years. Could have stayed in a hotel, but he stayed with us. And it was very, very cold. So Prabhupada always wanted to be with his devotees. There are many, many stories like that. That he refused a hotel in Boston that they got for him, and moved into the very small temple, small room there. So yeah.
It just shows the aspect of Srila Prabhupada talks about simple living, high thinking, really shows to home, just, you know, shaving the way he was doing. Like I know at Bhaktivedanta Manor, they have some utensils, you know, he had a lota for his, you know, washing himself. You know, he was kept everything so simple and to the point. And you can see here, this has been captured so nicely of the way.
Vishaka was, Vishaka and I served in Juhu for 2.5 years. And that was our main place of service. So that was extremely austere. I think many devotees know the stories coming from Juhu. You know, we lived in a basically a thatched hut with a canvas roof that leaked. It was extremely hot. So, but those austerities for a couple of years were, and actually Vishaka moved out of that hut. We were all staying in the same place, men at one end, women at the other, and the deities at the far end. Wow. And Vishaka just moved up on one of the apartment roofs at one point. And she built herself a little lean-to with bamboo and plastic and palm fronds. So she lived there for months, many months, and wrote some beautiful articles up there.
Wow.
One of them was Srila Prabhupada, India's national hero. And Prabhupada read that article. He said, it is very nice. He said, but it is not yet perfect, the writing. But if you continue to write, it will become perfect.
Wow. That's so in this place, like, so everyone to imagine you're on the top of a place where you're making this makeshift type of house, or just like some bamboos, you know, to cover you, get some shelter. And
it was leaning off the roof, you know, the wall that goes around the top of the room. Lean-to.
A lean-to, so you know it's not even proper shelter, you know, as we would see it.
She couldn't stand up.
And she's writing all these articles, so dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. But you know, one thing that was amazing, what's phenomenal, is what the, you know, Prabhupada disciples such as yourselves have done. Like, I'm going to show everybody some of these photos. These photos, of course, Yadubara Prabhu has taken as well. So I want to just show, of course, we got Srila Prabhupada. This picture really captures it for me, the determination, the dedication, the sincerity in Srila Prabhupada. Was it cry to you, Prabhu, when you see this?
I just think of looking at Prabhupada's directly in his eyes. And that was extraordinary.
And the extraordinary things that happened, everybody, check this out. I'm just going to look at this pandal. Look at it, it's packed. This is...
That was Mumbai.
So many people.
Prabhupada had these huge pandals in all the major cities in India. When he first brought his Western disciples back, and it attracted, I mean, the whole of India very quickly knew about the devotees. Just like in America, Prabhupada had the devotees go on Harinam in the early days, 8 and 10, 12 hours. And very quickly, the whole of America knew about the devotees.
No internet, no WhatsApp,
Nothing.
no Facebook. How did that happen for just out of, it's like it's just happening right now. It's just, yeah, it must be the way the connections, the communications, the way Srila Prabhupada made in this pandal, getting it ready, and something quite extraordinary happened at this pandal, if I'm correct.
Yeah, very much so. This is the pandal that His Holiness Radhanath Swami was seen at the very back of the audience. You can see the crowds.
You can't even see them.
And Prabhupada sent Gurudas Prabhu to go bring him on stage and have him sit next to him.
So we have
this
here
is Prabhupada's lecture.
And then I think this picture.
Yeah, there's proof that Radhanath Swami was there.
Yeah, let me point at. Can you see me pointing? There he is. Just there. That's Radhanath Swami there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. This is from a movie frame. It's very, very poor quality. But and there's several other devotees who came from that pandal. His Holiness Lokanath Swami also came. He met the devotees there, and also Dadi Harta Prabhu from Vancouver. He was also there.
Wow. So this is when it started for majority, you know.
Yeah. Actually, Radhanath Swami was there in Mumbai to get his visa. He'd come out of the Himalayas to get his visa, and then after this is where he met the devotees in Prabhupada. So after he met them, then he went back to the Himalayas. This was in March, and then he appears again, actually, at our wedding in Vrindavan. He came back down from the Himalayas to find Prabhupada because he heard Prabhupada was in Vrindavan.
Wow. And actually, just on that, so now when yourself and Vishaka Prabhu, when you started after your marriage,
we weren't married here.
Oh, okay. You were at this time because you studied together, correct? If I'm right.
Yeah, we were boyfriend girlfriend in college at the photography school. She started photography at 8 years old. I started it, in my 20s. So she's, expert photographer and writer. So this is when we, after Prabhupada gave this instruction to go to Vrindavan, we first went to Nepal. And this is us in Nepal, at a beautiful deserted cabin we found at 10,000 feet in the Himalayas. And we stayed there for 5 days. We had one book with us. And that was Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada's original blue cover Macmillan edition. And Vishaka read that book, and for the first time, she had this idea that maybe I'm something other than the body. This kind of went through her mind. So that, the seeds were planted with Prabhupada's instructions to go to Vrindavan. And we did that. And that's basically where she became Krishna conscious.
And just on that, you talked about the wedding. Let me bring that. We have this picture here.
We have one picture of the wedding. That's it.
This is the picture. The picture. Yeah. Wow.
So we had come out of the Himalayas to Vrindavan. We spent a month in Vrindavan. And every morning and evening, we walked the streets and take pictures. And Vishaka's favorite place to take pictures was the widows chanting Hare Krishna in the temple.
Yes.
I think there's a shot of that. Yeah. And she was so moved by their devotion and faith that infected her.
She came from an atheist background as well. You mentioned as well.
So her mentality was slowly being chiseled away by by living in the Dham and associated with devotees and Prabhupada.
And then, of course, so you had your marriage, but did this picture? Were you taking initiation here?
Yeah, this was actually in after we left Vrindavan, we went to Calcutta. This is Calcutta, and I took Diksha there. Vishaka wasn't ready, but then from Calcutta, Prabhupada took us to the Delhi Pandal, another big, huge Pandal program in Delhi. And Yamuna Devi was there. She, with the beautiful deities, Radha Gokulananda. And Yamuna Devi was the Pujari at that time. So from there, Prabhupada took us to Vrindavan, and then our marriage took place there. And Vishaka was initiated at the same time.
So that's
timelines, right?
On the day of marriage, was it that time? Close to then, she got initiated. Sorry, I'm just.
It was actually at the same time of the marriage.
Yeah. Wow.
But interestingly enough, Radhanath Swami appeared at our wedding. He just walked in. He'd come out of the Himalayas to find Prabhupada, and he met Prabhupada a few days earlier. So everywhere Prabhupada would go, he would try to meet him. So he also came to the wedding. So kind of him.
So that's when it started as well. And I've just seen actually, because both of you, this photo that I'm going to put is, I think, all over the world is so known. And of course, yourself there. So
this is actually on stage at the Mayapur Festival in 1972, the first Mayapur Festival. But if you go back to Vishaka's picture with Prabhupada getting Gayatri, you'll see in the background Prabhupada's sister, Pishima.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pishima was a wonderful devotee, and just loved Prabhupada so much. She always wanted to cook for him, but her cooking would be very heavy with oils and mustard oil and spices. So, but Prabhupada ate it anyway. He loved his sister and her cooking. Even the later years when he was, ill, 1977.
So she used to travel. The sister would be around as well, where Srila Prabhupada,
especially in Calcutta.
And then, of course, the prasadam. Yeah, one thing about, when you're capturing these, because of course, one thing I've noticed when somebody is the photographer or the videographer, we don't get many pictures of them because they're always behind the camera. And I always wondered in these times of actually because the movies coming out for those times is still quite really good quality. And I was like, how are they doing it? How's it happening? And then, of course, I saw something like this, what you sent me. And I was like, wow, now I get it. That's why you've got this massive finger round. Please explain what this is to everyone, because
that's a 16 millimeter camera with something called a blimp over it. The blimp muffled the noise. It was a noisy camera. So often cameras would have this kind of covering over it to muffle the noise. So you can see what a it's not like today. If we had little tiny, even a cell phone would have done as good a job as far as quality. So this is a very tedious process. Prabhupada actually financed our first film, Hare Krishna People. We were in serving in Juhu. We got a letter one day from Karanda Prabhu, the head of the BBT. He had spoken to Prabhupada about the possibility of making a film on the movement. And Prabhupada thought it was a good idea, and he actually paid for the production. $16,000.
That's a lot.
And that was from his book fund. So Prabhupada knew the value of media from that, just from that financing that film. So this was, we're filming for the Hare Krishna people, our first film.
Just out of curiosity, so that type of kit, what you've got there, how much would that have cost in those days?
The camera was couple of $1,000, and the equipment, there was a separate recorder that was a few $1,000s also. We had a Stella Box recorder, so it wasn't that the camera had the recorder inside it; it was separate. So Vishaka was taking the sound, and I was filming.
The still, so you're doing the reel, and then the sound is separate, and then you'll merge the two, and later everybody will see.
That's right. And you'll see how we merge that.
Let me
show that editing picture.
So yes, here it is, everybody. This, for those that when I when I saw this, I was like, that looks like something out of a sci-fi movie from Dr. Who back in the days.
Everything is done on a computer, a little screen now.
Yes. So
but then it was a lot more. With the digital, everything on digital, it can disappear immediately without without notice.
Yeah,
we've had that happen. So this is a very secure, more of a tactile. Of course, this is holding the film, cutting the film, splicing the film. It was a very different way of making films.
Why is there so many of these turntables? Because I gather cutting and splicing, you'll need 2. But here we can see about 6.
Yeah, there are 6. The 2 next to the screen is the picture. And the other 2 are sound. So here I'm matching the sound, and the sound is 16 millimeter magnetic tape. It's like a tape recorder, the tape, physical tape. But it looks like the film. Same sprocket, same size. So we would match the sound with the film on this table.
It looks like quite a technical thing to do. So you put the tape down, then you have to get the sound, then you have to match the 2 up. And if you want to cut things out of the film, then I gather you have to cut the tape as well because of sound to marry it. I know that we'll have people online that would have been or are video producers, and to see actually the amount of effort that it took here, this was some skill, and I'm sure they'll appreciate that. And you've got a little screen there, I gather, that you can see what's coming out, the thing that's coming out like a box.
That was the little. That's what you saw in the film. The film would project there on that screen.
So, you started off taking photos, documenting, and suddenly now you're married. You both are initiated. You're making these movies for Srila Prabhupada. This transformation from doing it as work, coming in, and then starting in doing it as a service. What were your what was good? Love to hear your thoughts and reflections. And
we just felt very fortunate to be able to get that service and use our talents in Krishna service. In Juhu, for 2.5 years, we were thinking, when are we going to be able to use our talent? But we just wanted to do anything that Prabhupada needed for his project, his Juhu project. And today that project is incredible. Hundreds and thousands of people come to Juhu. Everyone in Bombay knows ISKCON Juhu.
Yes, definitely. Even when going there, like I've been myself personally, and I have to say it is definitely an iconic place to go.
Yeah, so we felt very, very privileged.
So considering what you were mentioning before of how it was started up, what austerities you went through, to what a type of amazing metropolis type of environment it is now. It's just very difficult now to imagine how it started, that grassroots, how he started. So thank you so much for one thing that's really amazing to see is for the second and third generation devotees is that if it wasn't for Prabhupada disciples giving their whole lives and actually dedicating it the way you all did, we wouldn't have that foundation to now take it and try to do something now. Like we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we have all these things. In those days, they had mail and they had this, what I was showing, that video recorder.
It took weeks to get a letter.
It takes weeks, yes.
From India to America. And Prabhupada conducted the whole movement by letter, practically. He didn't like to speak on the phone. There's one picture of Prabhupada speaking on the phone. He didn't like it. So it's Krishna's arrangement. What Prabhupada wanted, Krishna obliged. He made arrangements.
It must have been amazing to see that the way it happened and on the scale it was happening on. Our conviction would increase, probably our faith would increase to see that actually how is this happening? Yeah. This person of this age, when you were there. But you really played a vital role in getting it out there, Prabhu, because I'm going to share to everybody some of the, coming onto the movies. This is, you're talking about the Hare Krishna people. This is the one that Srila Prabhupada commissioned. You said $16,000. And yes, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. And of course, then also Spiritual Frontier. What was that about?
Well, let me speak a little bit about the Hare Krishna people. Yeah. We showed that, we premiered it in Prabhupada's room in Mayapur. And that, everybody knows the size of that room. So Prabhupada, it was completely packed. And I was next to the projector, and Vishaka was outside. She couldn't get in. So Prabhupada saw her standing at the door, and he motioned for her to enter and sit next to him. So, showing Prabhupada's consideration and awareness of everything that was going on. So that film was shown in all over the world, and Prabhupada saw it probably 20 times. Because it was shown at every Pandal performance at the end of the program. And I would always expect Prabhupada to get up and leave. But every time he sat and watched the movie.
Every time, 20 times. 20 times.
Maybe. Something like that.
So
anyway, that was a little crudely done if you look at it today. Actually, all our early films are on a 2 DVD set called ISKCON Cinema Classics.
ISKCON Cinema Classics.
Yeah, we have that DVD set.
So check that out. Google ISKCON Cinema Classics. And can we get, I gather we can, from Amazon or?
No, it's just ISKCONcinema.com.
So just ISKCONcinema.com. Check it out. And if you want to see some of these original, those videos to get out there, and not just that, you did some other titles as well. The Spiritual Frontier.
This is the documentary on New Vrindavan, the first rural community. Prabhupada saw this in Los Angeles. We premiered it in LA, and Kirtanananda Swami flew out with quite a few devotees for the premiere. And that was probably the most wonderful premiere because it was completely packed, the LA temple. Devotees from all over the country came. And Prabhupada glorified Kirtanananda Swami for creating the community. He said no one else could have done this except him. And then he said something amazing. He said, for this service, you will go back to Godhead.
Wow.
there were some difficulties. Of course, we know he had difficulties later on, but those credits are never lost.
No, thank you for sharing. So everyone, that's something for us all to learn as well, is that we may have ups and downs, but those positive credits will never be lost. So keep in there and trying. Of course, some of the other titles that you did was Brilliant as the Sun.
This was commissioned by Prabhupada, actually. Okay. Again, he made a request to Rameshwar Prabhu at the BBT that I want something to show my godbrothers that we're doing the work of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and printing and distributing books. So we came up with this idea to make a film. On Prabhupada speaking a verse from the Bhagavatam, this Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun. And it is risen, I forget exactly the verse, I should know it. You know this verse?
I'm not sure the
one.
one.
Bhagavat Purana is brilliant as the sun. Actually, I had a slide of it. I should have, but I think it's a very famous verse. So we followed that verse through the book production process. From Prabhupada speaking the verse to being typed up to being sent to the BBT in Los Angeles. I guess there's no more pictures we have of that, but there's a whole string of pictures we have that film. So anyway, the film ends. The book is published, and the last scene is Gopavindapal Prabhu on the streets in LA, distributing the book to an outsider. And we showed that to Prabhupada many times. We had it in his room in Mayapur. Even if one person came into Prabhupada's room, he would ask me to show the film. I'd sit in Prabhupada's room for hours every day. And so many people saw that. Devotees, sannyasis, Gaudiya Math.
How would you show it? Was there that I think there was a briefcase you were showing me.
Yeah, it was called a suitcase projector. It was actually like a briefcase. Briefcase projector.
Open it
so
up.
That would flip open, and there'd be a screen there, and it would project the film on that little screen.
There you go.
That's great technology.
Well, we got now laptops, etc. Well, you know where it all came from. all this technology that's compact. But just on this as well, because the movies you have made, and there's one more as well, two more, and one we're going to come on to at the end about the Hare Krishna movie. Then you also had Spark of Life in 1977. This was something else.
Want to hear about that film?
Please.
That was commissioned, actually. The idea was given by the Bhaktivedanta Institute. They wanted a film to show how, or to defeat the current arguments of the materialists that life comes from matter. So we thought if we do that, those arguments are going to change because their theories are always changing. So we thought, let us produce the film based on the Bhagavad Gita, the arguments in Bhagavad Gita. So we did that, and it was initially Prabhupada saw that in his room in Juhu, unfinished temple in 1977. Actually, Prabhupada had gone there, and the temple wasn't finished. They had another place for Prabhupada to stay, but he insisted that he go up to his room and stay in his room. So the devotees had to scramble to get his room together. So in his room on the 5th floor of one of the towers in Juhu, we showed Prabhupada the movie. Some of the members of the Institute were there. It wasn't received so well because they really didn't know what the final product was. But Prabhupada asked, what is the result of showing this film? So I mentioned that we showed the film, we premiered the film in LA to the Sunday Feast crowd. And one of the guests came up to me afterwards. He said, "Thank you very much. Now I can understand I'm not the body." Oh. So when Prabhupada heard that, he said, "Then it is a success." So
there you go.
And it ended up being shown by the Bhaktivedanta Institute devotees all over India. It was very popular in India.
I'll just bring on. So the a spark of life, and all these are still available at the website address, which I'll put on again. But Prabhu, if you could just say it to me one more time, what the website address is. ISKCONcinema.com. ISKCONcinema.com. As simple as that. And here we go. So if you want to see any of these films, go to www.iskoncinema.com. So check it out. And, there's all these films that you made. The one that, of course, for all of us, that really has put it on the map for the Hare Krishnas, personally, I'm speaking here, is, of course, and I've got the copy here, this Hare Krishna, the movie, I'd like to let you know, Yadubara Prabhu, is that I do some Kirtan yoga sessions. I live in Redditch, so in Birmingham we do Kirtan. All over UK, different Kirtan groups are there. But a group in Redditch where I live, we've got a little sangha now, and it's a yoga group, and they've started to hear Kirtans. And then one of the teachers said, her name was Sarah, known as the motorcycling yogi. She goes, "I've heard about the Hare Krishna, the movie. Do you think we could have a movie night with all the yoga students?" So we actually did do that. So there was 35, there was 35, 40. We got a little hall and we put it on a big screen.
Wonderful.
And we did that. So just want to say, it was so touching for them. I saw tears in individuals' eyes. Mm. So you really have, not just for devotees, but this premiere has really hit and touched the hearts of so many people. And then,
wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that.
No, I think a lot of all over your group did, for the Birmingham devotees, London, we had the cinema sessions, everything, but this was external, so it's universal. Yeah. So
that was our target audience, the yoga people searching for spiritual life, the New Age groups, and it's been a tremendous received so wonderfully.
And this is what I found amazing as well, is the way the advertisement was done. Like you showed this picture, I want to show everybody, check this out. Where is this?
This is New Orleans, Louisiana. This was taken, I think, early morning where there wasn't much traffic, but this particular road goes all across the United States. This is one of the major highways in America. So hundreds of thousands of people must have seen that billboard.
Look at that. Look, it's just massive. It's just like Srila Prabhupada, just everybody's seen Srila Prabhupada. They've seen the Hare Krishna on such a big billboard. It was just so nice. In the UK here, we were like, wow, this is really taking off.
Well, I'd like to say that one individual used her money to pay for those billboards. In one wonderful lady, wonderful devotee, and I'm not going to mention her name. She wants to be a little, So, but anyway, people stepped forward and paid, used their own money many times for advertising. Billboards also in India. India was huge. There are billboards all over India. South America also. I'd like to mention Leelananda Prabhu, who single-handedly, he has a computer business here in Alachua, but he spent months and months preparing for the theatrical release in Mumbai. I'm sorry, in Latin America. So it opened in 14 countries in Latin America.
I've got a lovely comment coming from William Romani. He says, beautiful memories. Hare Krishna. Everybody comes to Krishna consciousness for one reason or another, but nothing happens by mere coincidence. Everything is arranged by the universe. So it's so nice how you and this Hare Krishna movie, actually, like you mentioned, it was 4 years in the making. That took, and the way I was speaking to Vishaka Prabhu, that some of the photography that's used in it looks so lifelike, and the techniques that you use to, show Srila Prabhupada in that type of 3D imagery, that it looks like he's popping out at you, and it just made it so realistic. So talking about this 4 years, what was it, of course, the culmination there of what you've been doing in your life's work, but how did it start with the Hare Krishna movie?
Yeah, actually, it was a suggestion by Harisari Prabhu to make a film for the TOVP.
Oh.
And, we thought initially, let's just use Your Ever Well Wisher, which was produced in 1983. It's there, it's Prabhupada's life, it's in many languages. But then, we realized that that's 33 years old, the film. So some of the techniques have changed, the format has changed, the size of the screen, so many things have changed. So we in 2013, we got our team together. Vishaka, myself, Lauren Ross, who's a professional filmmaker from Sydney. She contributed a huge amount to the film. And her cousin, Jess Heinrich, she also came on board as a producer. And Krishna Shakti from Los Angeles, an editor, all in their 20s, young, energetic, talented devotees.
Wow.
So we had a core team of 5. Coralie Tapper, she was also on the team from Australia. So somehow or other, it wasn't easy to, how to glorify Prabhupada properly, how to present his life so people would appreciate and be moved. It wasn't easy. First 2 years were very difficult. We had a mass of material. We had 31 hours of archival films. We had 1,800 hours of audio that Vishaka went through, trying to find Prabhupada speaking about himself. Very often in the film you hear Prabhupada speaking about himself, which was really important to us. And so that, yeah, it was not an easy project, very difficult, but we had tremendous support. Donations came in. It was a wonderful time. And now I'm devoting probably the rest of my life to distributing the movie to as many people as possible.
Well, and I think we all want to try and help you where we can with this, because it's such a phenomenal film. It brought tears to so many, including myself, eyes. And it just gave that type of aspect of connecting back to Srila Prabhupada. This is the reason actually why we do these Prabhupada Memoirs, is to help people connect back to Srila Prabhupada. And this movie has really done that. So please, everybody, if you have not seen it, then where have you been? It's one amazing, it's like the way you've documented it, his life is just depicted just right. And if you want to check it, www.harekrishnadefilm.com. You can see it on here right now. Do check it out. Do, share it. Maybe you got yoga communities where you are. Maybe you just need to share this, what we're watching. This is on Facebook on different channels, and I appreciate some will be watching the recording. But share it to your friends, and let's get it out again. Do another, since there's lockdown, there's more chance now. Let's get it out and let's everyone watch in their homes.
Yeah, it's important time to get it out. We had actually on for 3 months, maybe 4 months, on YouTube for free. Now it's on Amazon.com. And we're trying for, let's see, it's in Russia. No, I'm sorry, US,
Yeah.
UK, Germany, and Japan. We're trying for Russia, India, and Latin America as we speak.
So online, so they can see it.
Online, on Amazon. So it's free for Prime members.
Yes.
Also, you can rent or purchase it on Amazon for nominal fee.
And you had it on YouTube for a little time as well.
Yeah, there were 600,000 views during that time.
So let's everybody, and also I got some of these copies. Is this still available for anybody if they want? They like the physical copy of the DVD.
Yeah, DVDs are available. Also, Blu-ray copy.
There we go. So, see, for me, it's an honor to have, personal honor, because to meet the person that, brought this to everybody is just phenomenal. I saw you in Birmingham 24-hour Kirtan when you came down, you and Vishaka Prabhu.
That's right.
When you had your book table, and we just want to whatever you need, Prabhu. Hopefully, we can all rally behind you to make this happen.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my wife for her dedication.
Share picture. I've got a lovely picture. I was talking of that. Let me just. There we go.
This was actually the Toronto premiere, and it's interesting because I took a flight from Florida to Toronto, and I got this thought on the plane because I had a bunch of flyers with me. I asked the stewardess if I could make an announcement on the plane that we're having our premiere day after tomorrow night. Can I announce it on the plane? Agreed.
Really?
So I got the microphone. I was up in front of the plane, and made the announcement. Then went down the aisle and handed out flyers. So, and some of the people showed up.
That's brilliant. That's one way. Anything, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Hey, can I borrow you?
Be bold.
No, that's what Srila Prabhupada always said. We, always try and be bold.
One thing I'd like to add, Prabhu, thank you so much for your wonderful commentary and hosting. But one thing is, devotees, that I experience, we need patience and that's one of the qualities of a devotee: determination, enthusiasm, and patience. Because for instance, in Juhu, we were 2 years doing something other than we really wanted to do, but it was blissful. Probably that was one of my most blissful times in Krishna consciousness, because we were fully engaged and Prabhupada was very accessible. So, but yeah, patience is very, very important. That's probably the hardest. Be patient with ourselves in our Krishna consciousness, be patient with others, and keep going. Don't give up.
Like, you all been shining examples for us, so thank you. And patience, and it's so nice to hear, it's refreshing to hear, because somebody might think, now we're doing this movie, etc., this was because you're putting all that work together, but actually it was living in Mumbai in that roof that was leaking, where you guys were quite cold at times. I know it's India.
Not India. I mean, not Mumbai. No, Allahabad.
Allahabad, yeah.
Cool.
And it's just nice to hear, actually, when we are more focused on Krishna consciousness, when we're absorbed in Krishna consciousness, that's the aim of the game. So, and you just sharing. So thank you for today. I'm sure this won't be our last, because we want to try to hopefully get you on again, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Today is Diwali, like we said. So please welcome our dear Lord Ram into your hearts. And maybe watch the Hare Krishna movie, like they do. In Christmas, we watch the snowman or something. I know in the UK, the snowman always comes up. Father Christmas films come up. Maybe today might be the day on Diwali to watch this. So you can go to harekrishnafilm.com You got, Prabhu just mentioned Amazon Prime has it. Amazon has it. Just type in the name of the film and it will come up. And Yadubara Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Have a good one, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.